Set? Yes. Hi, I'm Drew. Welcome to the Beggars Woodshop. This video is going to be a little, I guess you could say, experimental. Follow along, hopefully you'll understand why. In fact, it's going to be two videos, if I play my cards right. So, I've talked in the past about sawdust collection, or dust collection as a whole, for Shopsmith. Years ago, they came out with a system called the Shopsmith Sawdust collection system, and it was a set of plans that you could put onto your Shopsmith tools and accessories that allowed you to collect the dust a little bit better. Now, most of what the dust collection was thinking was, hey, you've got a shop vac, or the shop mate, which is their shop vac that they had. Here we are all these years later, and those plans are pretty much just obsolete. An example is the jointer. The jointer has its own dust chute that you can purchase now. You don't have to build your own jig for it. Well, I've seen these plans pop up on eBay once or twice, and I did save a few of the images from those plans. Unfortunately, that computer is out of commission for now. I hope to get that one back up. I've got a lot of good files on there. And I did some extra digging to try to find images, and I was able to find 3 images, though they're very small images. The 3 items, well, we're going to focus on today. I take that back. 2 of the 3. One of those, I know what it's for. It's for the bandsaw, which is over here. That's why I look over here. My bandsaw's over there. But I don't know where exactly on the bandsaw it's supposed to go and what it's supposed to do. It's very odd. Now, I've been on the hunt for this Shopsmith Sawdust collection system. I unfortunately have had no luck other than these 3 images. If you are able to help me, leave a comment down below. We'll work something out. Cold here in the shop, you know that? Cold day. But we're gonna start with the first one today that I was able to, fortunately, get all the information for, and let me show you where it's gonna go and what it's gonna do. Over here on the bandsaw. Come on. Okay, so I'm down here near the bottom of my bandsaw, and you can see our normal dust port that collects everything. But if we pan down here, ladies and gentlemen, this is where our jig is gonna go. So right here is a gap. See, I'm sticking my fingers up in it. In fact, I can feel the lower wheel for our saw blade. No, there's no blade in it right now. And strangely enough, when you run your bandsaw, you do get a lot of dust that collects inside the cavities that are in here, and as well as in the upper. I keep putting my hand up higher, thinking my framing is wider. But also, I get a lot of sawdust that comes and collects it down here, back here, and everywhere else, and ends up on the floor. This little jig is actually going to help collect some of that, at least hopefully. I've never done this before. I've never tried this before. Today's the experiment of being able to do that. And yes, it will have a hose hooked up right here. Now, there's some things I need to look out for. One, this gap, because my bandsaw is aligned specifically to the headstock on the Mark IV, and I gotta make sure this gap is not going to change. I will have to take this thing off, so cross your fingers on that one. The other thing to look out for is, does this mean I have to completely move the bandsaw? Because I do lift my Mark IV into drill press position. Now, normally, with the aluminum table on my bandsaw, in fact, you can just see the underside of it right here. Normally, I have to take the bandsaw off and then lift everything else. For some reason here on my Mark IV, I don't have to do that. If you have the cast iron table, don't worry about that. You actually can lift yourself into drill press position with the bandsaw on. I don't have the really long eccentric tubes. In fact, I don't have one in arm's reach right now. I could use those and leave everything in place, but I don't trust them. They seem a little weak to me and very wobbly. Either way, even if I had those, I still have to worry about my alignment and will this jig fit. So let's take a look at our supply of wood and tell you also where there's also a bit of a problem. Come on. Okay, folks, we lucked out. I thought I would have to build both this and the next project out of 5/8 ply. And even then, it's not even really 5/8, it's a 16. It's a 32nd. That's right, it's a 32nd short. But I lucked out. I just happen to have plenty of 1/4 inch in stock. Thank goodness. There's another piece that was required according to the plans, needed to be 3/4 of an inch thick. Well, I've got a little piece here of an old shelving system. I've actually broken some of this up and used it in other places. It's maybe like a 1/16 short, maybe an 1/8. I'm actually going to do that. I'm going to take that because that will allow a little extra wiggle room, and I'm definitely going to need it. I actually have tested this. I put this into the back below the bandsaw and make sure everything it fits. Hopefully this will also help with the alignment later on. Or it also could be a big pain in the you-know-what. I don't know. So, I've already started here with a small piece. I put some marks on it where I want to make a few cuts. We're going to do that over here at the bandsaw. I've got to get set up for that. But before I go chopping and hacking, we got to talk about safety. Read the manuals that come with your power tools. The more you understand and follow those safety rules, the less likely you are to cause personal injury either to yourself or someone else. Hearing protection is a must. You don't want to go deaf while you're still young, but of course the greatest protection you can take, eye protection. You will be thankful the day these come in handy. Let's just hope it never does. Alright, I'm going to set up the bandsaw here and plug in the Mark IV, and let's get started. Well, there we are. Brief assembly, at least dry fit. Now, I've hit a few snags. First, of course, the measurements. Can't read all the measurements, so I'm making as best estimated as I can. I'm coming as close as I can. I've got a couple of measurements on here. I got a rough idea of where it's going to be one direction, but not the other. And is that even correct for the shopsmith? I don't know. We're going to find out. It's going to be a lot of trial and error, but I'm going to hold off on that. There's also a few cuts on here that I really don't know the angle. There's a curve, and then there's also a slant, and I'm trying to figure this out because nothing is marked. It just gives you extra dimensions. Now, fortunately, I cut one of the pieces extra long by accident. Well, that was a happy accident because that gives me extra breathing room to try to figure out where everything needs to go. So, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the outer walls, which are located here, and I'm actually going to cut the angle, or at least the rough angle, as best I can. Then, I'll come in, I got a little notch I got to cut out on this piece, cut out also some notches here, on just the one wall, then I'll cut my curve, then we'll try to figure out angles, maybe do some partial assembly. I want to do as much as I can before I have to completely remove the bandsaw. Now that does bring up a point. I have another piece that has to have other angles cut. Well, I'm going to be a little more chaotic. They may be done on a sander. We're going to wait and see. Okay. Here we go again. This didn't quite go as I had hoped. I hoped I could lock this all in place, lift the whole thing off, and everything would be fine. Well, this one was a little loose, and I also noticed there was a lot of sawdust in here, so I had to empty them out, and a lot of it, I couldn't even just pull them out, turn them over. No, I had to give them a little bang. So, now I need to figure out this measurement, point A to point B. And I may have to flip my bandsaw over to get it, because this piece has to sit over it, like so. It has to slide down very nicely. I hope we can get this to work right. Now this is going to require a little trial and error, folks, and then I'll tell you how I figured this out. I may have to flip over my bandsaw to do it. And I may cap these off too. They collect a lot of sawdust. But with them off the bandsaw, that gives me a chance also to do some minor maintenance to the bandsaw. It's about that time. The upper wheel needs to be greased again. Oh, I better get to it. Okay. After measuring both tubes and the bandsaw itself, which is below camera now, you might see it just kind of right over here a little bit. Yeah, the measurement, it has not changed. It's still 7 inches from center to center. Now that's on the original plans, but I didn't know if there was like that little tiny fraction. I may have to do some minor sanding, but that's okay. Right now it's just a matter of finding all my proper placement, doing my drilling, and then we're actually going to do some work over on my scroll saw. Now how often do I get that out on camera? Okay. I think I'll drill that hole with just a drill. Where's my drill? Where are my bits? That's an even better question. Oh, that's not going to be fun. So here's a fun thing that happened, ladies and gentlemen. I apologize for the lighting in this area. I need to relight this whole area. So, I forgot there was one other thing. How close to the edge did this hole for the posts need to be? It was one of my other hiccups. Measurements I have, I could read, okay, going this way, how far from this edge, how far apart are the holes, okay, great. 2 inches from the edge, 7 inches from hole to hole center. But what about from the bottom? Well, that's where I ran into a bit of a problem. So I put this piece underneath the bandsaw and held it flush so that both sides came right up against the area where the tightening set screw is. So this side was flush. And I took off the cover and I marked with a pencil where the housing is for the tubes. And that gave me an area. And from that area I was able to draw a line across. That told me, okay, this is the top of the hole. So I measured for the lines here. I drew a compass, a 1 3/16 hole. I've got it here on the scroll saw. We're going to cut it out. We're not going to make it perfect, because I'm going to want to sand in there, and I think I've got a sanding drum small enough. I'll have to double check, otherwise, boy, this is going to be hard. Alright, here we go. Alright, that's one. We'll sand that out. Even you can see that line is not perfect. Listen, well, maybe you can't see, but it is not perfect. But we'll get it. We will get it. Alright, I'll see you at the sander. New day here, ladies and gentlemen. If you can't tell, it's raining outside. Fortunately, the temperature is still good that I can do any pre-assembly or assembly. In fact, that's what we got set up right here. Now, the assembly does say glue and brads, and it does list a particular brad to use. Well, I don't have brads or a brad nailer. So it's all glue, all clamps, and I'll throw in a few screws just for extra support, connecting the main catch to the piece that attaches to the bandsaw. Pre-assembly to make sure everything's lined up and even the way I want. Let's see if I can get it to clamp with this clamp. Nope. Okay. I will have to use a different clamp. Hold on. Always make sure you have the right clamp for the right job. That's why you have to have so many. And there's no such thing as too many. Don't let anyone tell you there is. Pre-drill, and we'll go from there. Alright, let's keep gluing. Or should I say, get to gluing. Okay, I had to do a little improvising, a little redoing, a little finessing, because some things just aren't very clear. So the piece that attaches to our hose has been recut and fit. Now I just need to make it the last piece I attach. So I'm going to go ahead and attach our top, attach this one piece, and then all the gluing will be done. Then I can move on to giving my bandsaw a little re-greasing, which I cover in my bandsaw installation video, and of course realigning and make sure everything's just so perfect, and then hopefully testing this thing out. Though I don't anticipate that testing is going to take place, and I'll explain a little later. So let's go ahead and get this glued up. Now there's no exact position this thing has to be in, so I'm going to kind of wing it. go. Okay, got everything hooked up. Make sure all is secure. Now I'm testing this with the shop vac, not the dust collector. That has to do with suction and the hoses and another piece. We'll show that a little bit. So let's go ahead and test it and see if we get a reduction. I got a scrap piece of wood to have fun with. Here we go. Okay. Having an initial look at things, I think it's pretty good. Let's get a little lower, shall we? Have a gander. Come on. Looks like a complete reduction of dust with the setup. Hey, I'd call that pretty neat. Yeah, I'd say we did pretty good. Well, this is a great setup. I'm very impressed. Now, let me show you the project we're going to work on next time. It's a junction box, connecting the upper bandsaw collection, my lower collection, and to my dust collector or shop vac. And I'll show you my frustration and how I built it next time, right here, Beggars Woodshop.